I'm going to show you how to get Valby completely for free. I'm also going to show you my farm methods that I come up with while trying to farm for her, as well as alternative routes that you can do and the earliest possible way to get her, as well as going over some of the more complex steps with this one since it is a bit different than the other Descendants, as well as a whole bunch more surrounding it. What's up world, it's Utopia back again with another video. Today we're checking out all things the first Descendant. Okay, so let's just jump right into it. We're going to be farming for the character Valby. Now, again, as always with my recommendation, you're going to head over to the Access Info tab. I get this by hitting J on my keyboard or G on my keyboard to bring up the map or the journal or quest, and that will essentially bring you here where you hit the Access Info. We'll go to Descendants and we'll go down to Valby. Now, you'll see she is a bit more complex here, where she does have things that on the right side here require certain materials. We're going to go over the easiest materials first, and then I'm going to get into the harder, more complex stuff later on, so that way you can kind of see how this works out. So first up, let's jump into the obvious part in the blue materials. So how do you get the blue materials? Obviously, we just hit the acquisition key, and we can see how they do drop, which are from resource boxes and from munition boxes. Although I'm going to give a little bit of tips here with these, because a lot of these are a bit different there, and they kind of coincide with each other and make it easier to farm. So with the Repton and this material specifically, both the Monad shard or the Monad shard and the Repton are found in Kingston. So let's head to Kingston really quickly, and I'll showcase here. You're going to want to pick a spot that has kind of a smaller area or very easy to farm. I would say both the Fallen Theater and the Grand Square are decently small, whereas the Destruction is a bit, the outlay is kind of rough. This was the one that I went to specifically, and it seemed fairly easy overall. As you kind of just run down here, you'll see there are a few munition boxes and as well as the resource boxes. So as we run down here on this side path, again, there might be a faster route or a better route to actually farm this. However, this is what I did so far. So I ran across this left side here, and then we just found a resource box here. Again, these spawn really fast. As you see, we get 39 Repton here, but you'll watch how fast we get for the munitions box. Hopefully we get it here. Okay, the Monad shard, we got 139. So you see, you really don't need a lot of these to actually craft that. You're only going to need to do this run maybe 2 to 3 times max, if just one time there. If anything, you'll see that there are different munition boxes. Again, once people will drop maps and stuff, you'll see different stuff here and be able to kind of plan a route though. But overall, this is what I found so far. You see we got 124 Repton there, and you only need around 400 for each part, 400 or 500. So it's not actually quite a lot. It's actually really easy to get this once you kind of get it down on what you're supposed to do. And if you don't see anything more, or if you haven't found anything more to go around with, as you see there's another munition box here, and this should about cover it for what we need to do for that route. At this point, we can now run back. If we don't see anything else, there might be a resource box over here. Yeah, there is. So there's another resource box there. We'll grab that, get some more Repton there. Another one here, we'll grab that as well, and that's some Monad shard. And now we can head back around to the other side and get the rest of the things there. Again, you can head right back to where the munitions box is, and that resource box was around the corner, and those should already be respawned. I do believe there's also a resource box in there as well that you can grab, but I'll just showcase that the resource box is already back up. Okay, so it took a little bit longer than usual, but these resource boxes and munition boxes do respawn quite quickly. If anything, you can always transfer back to Albion and then come back to these main areas. I'm used to the resource boxes and munition boxes spawning up really fast, but other than that, you can do that route there, and that is a pretty good one. That's going to get you a lot of farming materials. You'll see that, yeah, there is another resource box here. So again, that's a decent little farm route. You might find some others along the way going around in that circle there, but that is for the Kingston one. Jumping over, we have 2 in the same location again, the Metal Accelerant and the Superfluid. So we're going to do that again. We're going to go ahead and go into Sterile Land. Now this one, again, I did pick a smaller area. Either Rockfall or the Repository seems pretty small. Also Restricted Area seems pretty small. You just want to pick a smaller area that doesn't have a lot of travel time or a lot of travel distance in between each section, as that's going to make the farm easiest as possible. And you'll see we have one here right away out of the gate. So we're going to get a munitions box right here. Again, that's going to give us a ton of Metal Accelerant. As I said, you really won't need to do these farm runs that much. You're going to have so much in just the 1 or 2 runs that you're probably going to be done. Again, there's another munitions box up here. These are actually really good. You really want munitions box more than anything, as they will give the most out of everything. And there's a resource box right here, so we'll grab that quickly. More Metal Accelerant. So we do need the other one, which I do believe was the Superfluid, but it is here. See another resource box there, and then there's some Superfluid. So you just make that route around, you kind of go back and forth. There's another resource box up here, but you get the gist. You just kind of find where these little locations are. This is a decent farm route here, and as you saw, we had 3 of those munitions boxes. Those are going to be really good for our runs. Jumping over next, we're going to get the Echo Swamp. I should have clarified, but you will need up to Echo Swamp in order to farm Valby. You really will need this location, and especially for a different couple things here. So you can either go to Misty Woods or Muskeg Swamp. They're both pretty good. I think I chose the Misty Woods here. So we're going on here. And again, fairly simple. We're just going to get ourselves out here. As you can see, we already found a munitions box. They're really close to spawn, and there's another one over there. And that's going to get us that compound coating material, which again is for this one specifically. We need that compound coating material. You only need 200. We basically got that out of 2 munitions boxes. So really, you don't have to do it a lot. You don't have to do these runs here. We already see a resource box up there. Again, you're going to get these very, very fast. This location was a little bit dull, but overall you see that we are getting it fairly easy. There's 2 up here. There's another resource box. Again, you're more than likely going to want to try to find munitions boxes than anything. I know I keep saying that, but as you see, we don't get a lot from the resource boxes in general. You can also find these on missions, so if you are doing missions in this area, you can find resource boxes and even munitions boxes inside missions. It'll make it a lot easier for you to actually get that stuff. So there you go. Again, more than likely we have enough now by just 3 munitions boxes, which were right by spawn, which was a little bit over here. Jumping over to our last material here, we do have this one in Vespers. Again, you want to pick a smaller area. I do believe I picked the ruins, as this was super easy. It had this little subsection here, but it didn't make it too difficult, so we'll jump over to there now. So move over to our right here. I think this is where most of the locations are, although this one might be one that I didn't do before. But again, they're super easy to find and super simple overall. It's really just running around and trying to find where they're marked, and since they're highlighted with in name, it actually does kind of help. Again, if there are maps that come out, or if I can figure out a better farm route method, I will maybe make an updated video on how to farm for these better, or farm for the resource, and I'll probably include all the maps together, so I'll make it a little bit easier. I think right there was a resource box, so we did get 106 Hardener, which was quite a lot. Again, you only need around 300 to 400 for each one, sometimes 400 or 500, but depending on it, you really don't need a ton. Again, here's 3 more resource boxes, so fairly simple. We'll just grab those. Let me get some plasma and some more Hardener. And last little bit over here, and I wasn't able to find a munitions box this one. You might need to try one of the other maps if you want a munitions box overall, but we got a lot of resource boxes, so there's some decent ones there. Again, you really only need to do the run maybe once or twice, and all you have to do is go back to Albion and come back, and it'll give you a new instance. Okay, I'm going to go over this part a little bit quickly, as the harder part does get a little bit later. These are the second hardest to get. Most of these are just through the missions. Fairly simple. Again, you hit that key, you go to the acquisition, and you figure out where you need to go to. This is all the Vesper missions in this map. Literally, pretty much every single mission is going to give you a chance to get this material here. So when you do click on these, it's pretty much every single mission in the Vespers area. It might be every mission itself. And then again, some of these will be just 2 missions, Sterile Land, 2 missions. If you do see this symbol here, that means you cannot do it again. So you did get some for a quest. So if you did that quest there, you will have that. That means you cannot rerun that. You can only do it once. These missions here, you'll click on them. It'll send you right to them. You just repeat those. Remember, I taught you the trick on how to hit the F2 key or the mission key in the bottom right, and then you can restart the mission very easily. This one's in Echo Swamp, and this is most of the missions in Echo Swamp that you can do, and you will get that material there through those missions. It is a rare chance to spawn. You might need to hit the resource crates, etc., but you can get that through that mission. Okay, so jumping on the last part here, where we have these purple materials that only have 1. You would think it's fairly simple because you only need 1. However, these are RNG mostly, and these are a bit confusing because when you do hit acquisition info, we currently have something that says Intercept Battle Executioner Amorphous Material Pattern 16 required, and when you click on it, it sends you to the material, but it doesn't tell you kind of how that works or how that coincides. So this mission specifically will give you a chance. I believe it's 100%. Yeah, it's 100% chance. You're going to get this automatically by doing this mission. These do take quite a bit longer. This is going to give you that material pattern. Once you get that pattern, you can then head into the mission that it says, or in this case, an intercept battle. So what does that mean? So once we get that pattern 16, we can then head over to Seneca, who has the void intercept battles, and we can take this pattern and go to Executioner, and at the end, when it drops that device, you can use that and then have a chance to get that material. You can only do that once you defeat the boss. It's just like we had in the last video with Freyna, but that was a 100% chance. Or this one, it is a bit of RNG here. That was with the Freyna code. This one, it will only be a certain percentage chance depending on the material that you have. You can find what amorphous materials you have in your amorphous material section of your consumables. Again, I don't believe I have that pattern currently, so I don't, but here's an example. So this one, amorphous pattern 29. Now, I don't remember where I got this exactly. In fact, this one you're only supposed to get for Devourer or through that location there, but I can't quite see it because I haven't got the Devourer just yet. However, if we do jump into here and we go to Valby and we go to the stabilizer section, we can actually see something different here. So this says Void Fusion Reactor. So this is why you don't exactly need to have Agna Advanced, or you don't need to have Devourer done yet. You can actually do this only up to Echo Swamp. And if we jump into the mission here, we click on this, we can go to this mission here, over here, which is in the zone here, and this one does not have a 100% chance. This mission will take you a few tries because it has a 5-minute timer. It also only has a 20% drop chance. Now, I did use this material. I ended up getting this amorphous material pattern and tested this to see if it would be 100%. Here's the other complex part. So if you don't have Devourer unlocked and you're only up to Echo Swamp, but you want to farm Valby, you can. However, there is some convoluted steps there. So if we jump back to the Access Info tab and we go to Valby and we go to that stabilizer, again, this says Echo Swamp Void Fusion Reactor. Well, what are the reactors? Just like in our last video where we had to use Bunny to knock down that Void Reactor, we will have to do that again here. Again, if you want to, you can wait till you get the Intercept battle, Devourer, and then do it at the end of that battle. However, if you don't have Devourer yet, you haven't got past Bride, which is understandable, you can do the Void Fusion Reactor method. This does take a little bit longer, I will say, but here are my tips with this. So you have to do this Void Fusion Reactor. However, you can't just go up to it and start it. You have to have organic Void Shards and monomer Void Shards. This takes 11 organic and 4 monomer. It's a lot easier to get monomer shards if you do have a Freyna already, or if you have a friend that is Blair. Blair can get you these very quickly. However, a lot of these missions, these Void Fragment missions, require to have somebody that you probably don't have yet, which is Blair. So for example, this Void mission will give you 4 organic Void Shards, but you need a Blair or someone that does fire damage. I think Ismo might do fire damage as well, but they have to be, as it says here, destructible only by that skill. So when you look at these and you see what they drop, you're going to need, again, what it says, the monomer Void Shard and the organic Void Shards. I'm going to give you some tips on which ones I did here. So this one I was doing for a while because it used Freyna. However, I would recommend a different one if you are going to try to get the organic shards without a Blair. So jumping into Sterile Land, this one actually does give you 1 of each shard. So you will need to do it 11 times. And it does take quite a while. Again, it's about 5 minutes. They're actually right, it's about 5 minutes or less, maybe a little bit longer in some cases if you're by yourself. This does take quite a while. Again, I used Viessa on this, so Viessa can get me this one. If you do have a character, you don't have Viessa, maybe you have Ajax, you can actually do this with other characters. So you just gotta look. Again, this one gives 4 times monomer starts, so if you have a bunny, you can get your 4 times really fast here. You can just get it with 1 to do on there. But if you look at these, again, all these are going to say something different here on what they require. And I do believe, like this one, again, this one's a Blair one, so you unfortunately probably wouldn't be able to do it if you don't have Blair. This one, for example, says a non-attribute skill. Again, this is going to give you 1 each every single time. This one actually will require an Ajax, a J-Bear, or of that nature that has no attribute. I heard that Eugen also could do this, but technically he can't because he doesn't have any damage abilities. So he has a non-attribute skill, but he just can't do any damage to it. So again, you have to kind of go based on what characters you have. Again, this one is going to be for Ajax. This is in the Kingston region, and this will give you 1 each. So if you do see one where you see that and you have an Ajax, or depending on what characters you have, that's kind of how it's going to go. And again, once you get 11 of that total, you're going to go to your miscellaneous tabs, and that's going to tell you how much you have. Once you get 11 total of the organic and 4 total of the monomer. You can then head over to that location in Echo Swap. You're going to go here into this void fusion. To clarify, this is not a 100% drop chance from this. It is the exact same way as going to the boss and using that device. You will only get a 36 or 39% chance, whatever it is, to get that drop there. But you can do this without having to go. This boss is actually fairly hard, so you might need an additional player there, or just take your time with it. I had a bit of ammo issues down there. The mobs were not spawning ammo for me, so you might run into that issue as well. Again, do not use this. Do not use your void shards until you have the pattern from this mission here. You will need to go do the Muskeg Focus Strategist Outpost to get the amorphous material pattern. Again, it only has 20% drop rate, and then on top of that RNG, you only have a 30-ish% chance to actually get the shard there that you need for Valby. And then last up here is the Catalyst one. This one is the hardest of all. However, it is one of the easiest to do, at least as far as what you have to do. I would recommend just doing Stunning Beauty. It takes mere seconds. We downed this boss in a few seconds here. And so, again, make sure you have the pattern first. Click into here, go to this, get the pattern 9, or rack up as many pattern 9s as you want. Again, this is going to take a little bit long to get that pattern. However, the boss is super easy to do Stunning Beauty. And then you have that 6% chance, I believe, to get the Valby Spiral Catalyst. I do believe I actually have this one here, or at least a variant of it. I do believe I have the 29 one is right here. Oh, no, I have the Stabilizer one, which is, this is 29. Pattern 29, you cannot use at the other section, the reactor. You have to have that 20 pattern. You cannot use 29. This one is only for Devourer, just to make sure I clarify there. Once you get that all in order, after you have all that done, so this one does take a little bit longer. These are a little bit harder to get that Descendant here. The Valby is going to be a little bit hard for people. And then also you will need the code here. Valby code will be through pattern 6, which you can also get in this section here. You get that pattern 6, and then once you get pattern 6, you can then head to a fusion reactor, or you can wait to Devour and head there, and you will need a pattern 32. Again, that's going to be a bit different there, where you're going to have to go get that one. This character might take quite a long time, especially if you don't want to do the void reactor method. Void reactors are going to take quite a while. This one specifically is in Sterile Land, so if we head there, this one might be a little bit easier to do because Sterile Land, I think, doesn't require as much. So yeah, this one in particular only requires 3 polymer void shards and 12 monomer. This is a lot easier because you won't need a Blair or anybody that does fire damage. You can get those monomers really quickly. They give 4 each in a lot of missions. And polymer also, there are missions that give 4 each. Again, just look through these and see which ones. Again, this one right here gives 4 monomer and it's electric. So you just look through them and you'll see this one only gives 1 polymer. I wouldn't do that if you're farming the polymer. I would go to one that gives you 4 polymer or one that gives you 1 each for that. More than likely, you're going to want to push eventually into Devour. It's going to make Valby a lot easier. I'm going to have a guide on Sharon next. That one might be a little bit easier than this character, but I did want to get this one out there because it is a little bit more complex, and I wanted to help you guys out with some of that farm stuff. Last up here, very quickly, you will need to research this stuff, so it's a bit different than the other Descendants. You will actually have to do Descendant material first. We're going to go ahead up in here and we're going to type in Valby, and that's going to give us our 3 here that we can craft. These will take 8 hours each, so you will need to craft these. You can do these all together, so you can wait until you have all the materials, or you can do these one by one. Again, it doesn't really matter there, but you will have to take 8 hours each. I believe you can research more than one thing at a time, so you can research these all together, but it will require 200,000 gold as well as 8 hours research time there. So you will have to do that with all of those, at least the ones that are there. Once you get the materials and that 1 each, you will then need to craft these. Overall, it should about cover for today's video. If you like, subscribe, and to the next one. Deuces.